Good morning. Elle Ingalls here at pressure-free.com. Ingles.com gets you to the same place. If you want to take a look deeper at what I do, if you want to read testimonials about from people who've worked with me, you can get that all there. My retreats, my courses, everything is there. Um, this morning, I came across an article in my newsfeed about a stress mindset, that your mindset around stress matters. And if you feel like you're encountering a stressful situation and I would put it this way, it's tightening you versus you expand and believe that you can get through it just fine, it makes a difference. And so I love in the article, though, that it says that this needs to be combined with other things. I think that's really important because if you do feel a stressor and go into the stress response, no matter if you're thinking positively or negatively about it, those side effects that are happening, they're happening to your body. So I'm a realist. I'm not a Pollyannaist. I'm not a, although I used to be kind of head in the clouds, as as my husband used to say, like, the world is beautiful. I do think a lot of things are beautiful. Um, so let's go deeper into this. Like some of the things you'll see is you're feeling anxious, change it to excitement. So if you're overexcited, that will trigger the stress response too. So to me, really the differentiator is, can you experience the stressor or the challenge? And you might start to feel a heightenedness about it, heightened emotion, but you catch yourself from releasing those stress hormones so that you can not experience all of those side effects. That takes some practice. That is the practice of the pressure-free method. But some little things you can do right away, like you start to feel anxious about a speech you're giving or a meeting you have to run, any sort of athletic activity or performing arts, anything has a bit of performance in it, and you're feeling a little anxious, like you might not be good enough or you're not prepared enough. If you can, I'm smiling. If you can open this way, smile, and even laugh, and even think, okay, I've got this, I can do this. You're thinking of this stressor in a way that it's an opportunity rather than something to dread. If you can think that way, your thoughts will actually open up blood vessels instead of tightening them, which is what happens in fight or flight. So your mindset really does matter. And one of the things that I hope on these little talks that I give here, definitely in the strategy call with a prospective client, what I'm really hoping to impart is that there's such great hope that you can get out of the stress response versus staying stuck in it. Because most of us, had no idea, we're stuck in it. We don't see it, we don't know it. So that's the other thing, that whenever I read a research report or a study that comes out, I know that pretty much everyone being tested is at some place in the stress cycle of hormone releases. So we'd have to get someone super clean of these massive releases of stress hormones to have even a control group to see what's going on. Um, that's why I think, like, someone I was talking to the other day said that he was thinking of getting his hormones tested. And just like the markets on Wall Street, our hormones are constantly in fluctuation. They're all, there's the stress hormones, there's all the other hormones in our body too that are doing these releases of stress hormones or chemicals, hormones. And so if you get your hormones tested, like that's what it is in that moment. But 5 minutes later, it's probably different. And most people, when they're receiving any sort of a blood test, are triggered by the stress response. Like we don't typically want people taking our blood. Unless you're like my husband who loves to give blood. Like some people are totally chill about it, but most of us, just having a medical appointment is something that causes a little bit of is a little bit of a stressor. So when I work with people in pressure free, I really define stress as whether or not you've actually triggered the stress response. So you could be experiencing a lot of stress out here, a lot of stressors is how I refer to that. Challenges, triggers, stressors, but it's not really going to harm you unless you trigger the stress response. Does that make sense? So, so I kind of use these words very specifically, and what I note in certain articles is that they're using the word stress could mean so many different things. Um, and so getting very specific about the semantics of it, I think is important too. So one of the things that all other people ask me too, sometimes clients ask me is, so I'm still going to feel these emotions. I'm like, absolutely. We're going to feel an emotion, but we're not going to stuff it down. A lot of people who do the stuffing end up with heart disease and heart attacks. It's like you're all the pressure, or you're carrying the burdens on your shoulders, like you're just carrying so much weight. So with pressure free, we see that we're starting to feel the emotion. And then because we still have our faculties working for us, we can take a moment to dissect and say, do I really, or discern and say, do I really need floods of hormones to do this activity? Probably not. If I do trigger the stress response and release these hormones, is it helpful at all? It's a good question. We can elevate and take a stage and perform and keep just below the threshold of triggering fight or flight. That's a beautiful thing. So you can be energized, and in fact, energized is what a lot of my clients start to feel. It's because their bodies have healed overnight. You feel refreshed, rejuvenated, like you're ready for the day. So the words we use and how we think about it, it's incredible, the science that shows like just how one thought affects our very DNA. And thought is something we get to control, what we want to think about. By the way, if you say, no, that's not true, I can't control my thoughts, they're just out of control. I just want you to take a breath here, relax your belly. If your thoughts are out of control, it's because this is shut down. So you're not able to make a decision about your thought. And that's because you're in the stress cycle. But once you start to break that stress cycle, you can really see your thoughts. I analyzed my thoughts for about 3 weeks with a coach I was working with. He's a great coach. His name is Robert G. Allen. He was a best-selling author. It's the first mentorship program I went to. It's a year-long program, amazing people, and learned so much for him. But one of the things that I did when I was with him was I analyzed my thoughts for about 3 weeks. Like I really looked at my brain and what I was thinking. Going into it, I thought I was a pretty positive person. What I noticed when I really looked at what my thought patterns were, I had all these little things I would complain about, maybe just in my head, but still I was thinking it. Um, all these little worries, all these little things. And so I tracked it. I really looked at it. I also looked to hear what kind of voice is talking in my head. So let's say you're about to give a speech and the voice in your head is going, "Oh no, you're going to crash and burn." Notice it used the second person singular. You're going to. It doesn't say I'm going to. It's like you're going to. So I would notice, am I using the first person singular, second person singular? What am I saying? Am I using command form you? Like what is it I usually say? It's like, look out, you better go pick up your kids soon. Look out, or watch out, you forgot this. Like it's like this commanding voice. Luckily, when I was working with Robert Allen, he said, don't worry, if you have a lot of voices in there, you're probably not insane. It's just that we have a lot of different people talking in our head. So who's saying to me, who's commanding me? Is that a parent of mine saying, look out, watch out, just trying to keep me safe, keep me on track, keep me on time? Um, what voices, if you're using you, it's like somebody's talking to you. I is a different story. So one of the ways to really start to dig into this is to look at what we're thinking. What are we really thinking? And is it helpful? So I call that discernment. Like the thought comes in, and is it sending you toward your targets, toward where you want to go? Or is it diving down and not supporting you and not helping you? So if you're about to give a talk or run a meeting and you're dreading it, so the voice in your head is like, "Oh no, not another meeting." Like like the energy's going down or tight versus, "Oh, we get to have this meeting and finally solve this." Like expand, open. So tight or open? What's your body doing when you have the thought? Do you have the 11 line? You get really close here. I'm 63 and I don't really have lines. I've never done Botox. I would never do anything like that. Pretty natural girl for the most part. Um, so this constant coming here, that's consternation. That's tightness. That's your face tightening. Jaw tension. I used to have a ton of jaw tension. I ground my teeth at night and years of violin playing. Like now, I just don't grind my teeth at night. There's just no reason to. So your body's going to give you a clue about this thought. So take the clue. It's like, okay, maybe you have a big weekend to prepare. It's an incredible celebration of I'm going to do a special on this, but like 250 years of this right here, like what we're doing in our country, the claim for freedom of expression, the claim for freedom. It's interesting to think about freedom. I truly think that when we're locked in fight or flight, we're not free because we don't have command of our thoughts. Our thoughts are controlled by our inside brain, our monkey brain, our croc brain. That's what's controlling our thoughts. This is not controlling our thoughts, our cortex. So when you can discern, all right, tight thought here, how can I open that up? How can I change that? How can I ask a question that moves me toward my solution versus keep me mired in the darkness? I remember when I was running a symphony, my office, I had a beautiful corner office. I could see the Kellogg Foundation, oh, not the Kellogg Foundation, Kellogg Company. I could see the auditorium where our symphony performed. I had this beautiful view. I could see the Federal Center, the gorgeous building, actually this very inspiring building to me, thinking about John Kellogg creating the sanitarium where people all over the world came for health. Like that was my office. And when I would have a situation happen, a real stressor come in, something I have to solve or solve with my board, I would elevate my body and I would be up there and I would say in my head, you don't need to get into the muck. You do not need to get in the muck. Stay up, stay up. So watch your thoughts, watch your mindset around a stressor, a challenge, a trigger. Watch what's happening there. And if you can, in that 10-second window, change it up just the tiniest bit, even by just opening your body instead of going into the tightness, that is pressure free. Like that sets you free. And now your brain can choose a much more helpful response to whatever's going on in your head. So this stress mindset that you might read about today in your news feed, like I did, it's deeper than what is in that article. It's so much deeper, and semantics matter. So, hope I gave some clarity here for you, and of course, I wish you a great pressure-free day.